Breaking news, folks. Turns out Charlie Kirk had bones of steel, strong enough to stop bullets. We just got our first bit of actual confirmation about findings of the autopsy, and they make the story even more unbelievable, if you could believe it. We'll tell you more all about that in just a minute. But the important thing is that Tyler Robinson is safe and sound in FBI custody, waiting for all the cameras to shut off and the guards to take a nap so that he can do a little bit of bedsheet origami. The FBI has charged him with aggravated murder, along with a host of other supporting charges, and are seeking the death penalty. It turns out Tyler Robinson almost got away clean, leaving the scene with no evidence, except for a detailed text message confession about how he used his firearm to eliminate the acquired target, and then got into his vehicle and was on the lam for 0800 hours. Pay no attention to the fact that we now know that the FBI has footage of the shooter taking the shot, and they specifically cut the video they released to start just after that part. Obviously, not because he never took the shot, probably never even had the rifle on the roof, but because of redacted. Pay no attention to the old man actively causing a distraction to help the shooter escape, or to the more than 10 strange flying objects that have been located in the cell phone footage, or to the fact that the wound doesn't match the shot, or to the fact that we are being shown a fabricated text message chain, or to the new photo that surfaced of Bro stopping by Dairy Queen for a little blizzy while he's the subject of a statewide manhunt. Trust the FBI to get to the bottom of it, just like they did with the Epstein files. Because just last week, Kash Patel came out and officially told us that Epstein never even trafficked anyone to anyone. Hundreds of victims are all lying to us. The court that convicted Epstein was totally wrong. Ignore all the evidence and forget all about it. Midterms are just a year away, and you're supposed to hate your neighbor way more by then. So they're going to need you to stop talking about uniting in our hatred of Israel and get back to the race war that they had scheduled. Thank you very much.
Conspiracy theories are entering a
Information is the oxygen of a democracy.
There's so much evidence out there that even if less than 1% is true, that would be enough to collapse the current paradigm and change the whole planet.
Consider a thought for me, will you? It's the thought that a lot of us are sort of having, but not really noticing. And then someone said it the other day, and it made me kind of think about it. Like, yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. And I was kind of thinking that. The assassination of Charlie Kirk is the most impactful assassination in the world since JFK, MLK, and RFK all the way back in the 60s. It's the most impactful one. Like, seriously, can you think of another anywhere in the world that rung out with such intensity all around the world, but especially here in America? I mean, if you dabble in the tinfoil, you might say Michael Jackson or Prince. In some ways, you could say Epstein, but that's kind of a different category. You could say JFK Jr., strong argument to be made for Princess Diana, but really none of those tragic accidents are in the same category as a public execution like this was. This is something completely different. And regardless of your opinion of Charlie Kirk's life and legacy, I think we can all agree on the right and the left that most of us didn't really realize how impactful Charlie was in life, and none of us could have ever predicted how impactful his death would be. And any time that there's a political assassination, one of the first questions that you ask should always be, do we see evidence of intelligence agency involvement? Because after all, even the briefest read of history would inform you that intel agencies are the primary perpetrators of political assassinations in the modern world. Certainly, there are lots of lone nuts out there, but in the context of a high-profile political assassination, if you know nothing at all about the crime, intelligence agencies are already a more likely culprit than a lone gunman by a pretty wide margin, and they should be your first suspects. And so then, you look at the actual evidence surrounding the case. Because the signature of an intel agency hit job is very different than that of a lone vigilante. And keep in mind, we know quite well that intel agencies usually try to disguise their tracks to make it look like the work of a lone nut. But that's actually not as easy as they'd like it to be, especially in the age of cell phones and 4K video. So, Today we're going to look at the official story of who shot Charlie Kirk and examine the most significant discrepancies in the official narrative. And then we'll explore the other half of this scandal, which is this breaking conversation about America's entanglement with Israel, for which Charlie has become the very quintessence of that entanglement. And his murder at this incredibly tense moment feels a lot like the shot heard around the world. To be clear, I am not making the argument in this video that we have enough evidence to accuse Israel of the crime, and no one is saying that. In fact, Candace and Tucker and Dave Smith and Megyn Kelly, all the big conservative influencers that have been swept up into this conversation around Israel, none of them have made even the slightest claim that Israel is involved at all. And I have intentionally not contacted Candace to ask what she knows. I don't want any inside intel. This is not my fight. I didn't know Charlie. He wasn't my friend. I am just a dude on the outside looking in. And from where I'm sitting, I think that Israel is currently the most likely suspect, which is very different from claiming that they for sure did it. But by the end of this video, we'll go over all the evidence that supports that claim and also examine all the other possible explanations for what we know so far. So, what do we know so far? Well, we know a fair bit that the FBI officially told us. We don't know if it's actually true or not, but we know that they told us that it was true. Things like videos of a suspect jumping off the roof of the Lossy Center. Things like photos of a suspect with a backpack on campus allegedly concealing a rifle. We know that they gave us a basic timeline of events and a very questionable text message exchange. We're about to go over all of that, and we're mostly going to focus on the most glaring holes in the story because the internet is flooded with theories, and some of them are wild. Like, yeah, maybe Charlie's lav mic was actually secretly modified to shoot him in the throat like Mossad pager style. But even in the extremely unlikely event that that's true, like, how are you going to prove that, dog? How are you going to, right? Maybe, but let's be real. It's just as possible that a robot bird sniped him with a classified top secret projectile launcher, or that drones with lasers and DARPA technology. It's you're never going to prove any of that, and that's fine. I want to focus on the obvious stuff, the evidence that they're lying to us. For example, the video that the FBI released of allegedly Tyler Robinson jumping down from the roof, which we know beyond any doubt had line of sight to the shooting position. But they chose not to show us the actual shot for some reason. We'll get to that in just a second. But let's get ourselves there by starting at the start of the manhunt for Tyler Robinson, which actually starts with them getting the wrong guy twice. First, George Zinn, a 70-something-year-old Ashkenazi Jewish man, made a huge commotion in the crowd claiming he was the shooter. He later told reporters that he did this intentionally to help the shooter escape. And he somehow has a history of showing up at major world events as first a witness to the attack on September 11th, and then calling in a fake bomb threat in the wake of the Boston Marathon bombing. This dude makes no sense. Unless he's a spy. You remember Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Yeah. Spies show up at major world events because they're in the business of shaping major world events. Already, this dude has my hackles up about intel agency involvement. So, by 8 p.m. on the night of the shooting, Cash is on Twitter announcing that the subject in custody has been released after being interrogated. They got the wrong guy. Twice, actually. They also held another dude briefly. I haven't seen any reporting on who he was or why he was detained. Here, real quick, let's actually watch the George Zinn video.
We don't know if it's him or not.
One more time.
We don't know if it's him or not.
So he says, "Shoot me," as he's being taken away. He apparently was yelling, I did it, shoot me." But then, on September 11th, at noon, the day after the assassination, the FBI puts out these photos. "We are asking for the public's help identifying this person of interest in connection with the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. 1-800-CALL-FBI. And we all remember these photos with the American flag shirt. Pretty grainy. Pretty hard to see what's going on here. No rifle, right? And then at 8 p.m., they put out 4 more photos. The FBI continues to work alongside our law enforcement partners to seek justice in the murder of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University on September 10th. We're releasing additional photos of a person of interest. Information about this developing investigation can be found at blank. So these photos were put out the next day, right? The next night, actually. And we all remember seeing these photos. And again, no one sees a rifle, right? Like, does he have a rifle down his pants? Is that why he had a limp in the video that TMZ put out? Sure looks like he's bending his knees, right? That's his right leg. That's his left leg. 30-06, like a Mauser hunting rifle, is a pretty big gun. Those are pretty skinny jeans. All of the experienced shooters, special forces, all those guys on the internet are having a hard time squaring the theory that he stuffed this rifle down his pants and that it's somehow concealed in these photos.
That would be enough to collapse the current paradigm and change the whole planet.